Welcome back to another episode of Talking Ball with Steve Week. We are going to do a couple drafts tonight, including the new Husky draft released on Underdog. I'll give people some time to get in before we draft, so we can go over some of the news and notes around camp, talk about the new contest released on Underdog, anything anyone wants to talk about. Appreciate anyone joining me in chat, joining me in the drafts. Feel free to, of course, like this episode when you get in here, and then drop any questions or comments that you have. Obviously, always enjoy talking ball. We are back. Football is right around the corner. The first preseason game is this week. Then we'll have preseason next couple weeks, and then finally the season's right around the corner. So it's getting exciting, and looking forward to just talking more and more about football and best ball. Let me look at chat real quick. We got Mike Robin here. Let's go. Time to discuss some Chubb and Woodies. Yeah, the Texan situation is interesting, we shall say. We got my sister in here, like in the Husky contest. Tyler in here. Howdy. Husky season, wrong time of the year. They'll burn up. Yeah. So no, appreciate everyone joining me in. We will talk these new contests, and of course go over some player news today. The good news is, I guess, no major injury. Isaiah likely will probably miss some time, but it doesn't sound like he'll miss like regular season time. Hollywood Brown, haven't seen an update on that report yet. That sounded a little worrisome. Probably the biggest other one would be Marshawn Lloyd, because there's non-contact groin injury. That doesn't seem great. So we'll have to get more details on some of these injuries. But if there's anything else I missed, feel free to drop it in chat and we can talk about it. First up, they released two contests today, the Chihuahua 2 and the Husky. We'll talk about the Chihuahua 2 first. This is just like the first Chihuahua that was released. I believe it was just a couple weeks ago. It is a 25 entry max, $4 contest, so $100 to max it. There's 70,000 entries, but there's $250K in prizes, including a 30,000 prize up top, 20,000 a second, 10,000 a third. So even on $100 or less, you've a couple shots at a 5-figure payday. It's a 217 person final, so if you make a finals, you get your max money back. That's always nice. It's 2 of 12, 1 of 9, 1 of 6 to get to the 217 person final. Not the greatest advance rates, but they're not bad. They're better than, say, a puppy or the full schnauzer. The mini schnauzer was better than this, but so it's kind of in between. But for a small dollar contest, max $100. Not too shabby to get those kind of paydays up top. But the real one that everyone's talking about today that they released is the Husky $40 contest, 10 max. So $400. I've already done a couple slows. But 3 of 12, so far we've only seen that in the Dalmatian, which was 4 of 12. The low Dalmatian was 3 of 12. But the Bulldog, it's a $75 Bulldog. So this is a little more than half the price of the Bulldog, and still has that 3 of 12 to start, 2 of 8, so quarter advance rate, and then 1 of 6. That's exceedingly good for a 117 person final. If you make the finals, you get the $400 back if you max it, and up top $50K for first place. 6 prizes over $10K. 10th place, $4,000. So you would get 10 times your max if you get a 10th place finish. So really good payout structure. 40 people make 1,000. This to me is one of my favorite contests that they've released. I think this is probably the best balance between dollar amount and advance rate and top prize. Because some of those, like the Bulldog, even the Chow Chow, they're much smaller entrants. So they could only make the top prize so big. But here, 50K is a pretty significant prize. It's one of the the larger top prizes that you'll see on Underdog outside like the BBM. And to do so with these advance rates is pretty impressive. So we will jump into one of those very shortly. Let me give the chat a little bit more time. Go Arizona Cards. Charles, tell us why Scadby was a bad pick. I don't think he is, so it's going to be tough to say. Been getting more and more buzz, just good highlights from camp, and then him working now with the first team just after a couple of days, as expected. I mean, I don't think anyone should be shocked with that. Keep in mind, he was drafted 60 spots higher than Tracy was drafted. And while Tracy was solid as a rookie, it's not like he was Bucky Irving. Mike Robb, is Husky your favorite draft because of the link to your old stage name? That summer during college when you worked for Chippendales and would provide the stage name Husky. Mike, you know me so well. We got disbanded in here with the dot. Hope you're doing well, disbanded. Sorry, that's how you found out. Mama Papa Chef. Oh my. We got Hartman in here, GM. Hope you're doing well, Hartman. We got TD, Mr. Mufasa in here. Good evening, fellas. Putt Daddy, what up? How's it going? Hope you all are doing well. Underdog has been pumping out these contests. Since last Thursday, we've gotten 2 German Shepherds, the $2 mini, whatever that was, single entry. The Bulldog 2, the Chow Chow, the Pomeranian, now the Chihuahua 2, and this Husky. So, in less than a week, they've just produced a lot of contests and at different price points, which is really nice. So I will jump into the Husky here. I will enter at 8:08 Eastern time. So when it clicks over to 8:08, I will hit enter. Hopefully we don't have a location error. Let me take a drink. And it's always the longest minute, but it is a good, effective strategy. And shout out to JT Best Ball for getting me on this strategy. So we are entered. It's a fresh lobby, waiting on 8. So feel free to jump in. This should be a good one. And I think I updated my BB Best Ball overlay exposures. So it should be updated from earlier today. Waiting on 7. How long does the Husky usually take to fill? So this is my first fast draft. So I'm not sure, but it seems like it's filling, I imagine, fairly quickly. Yeah, I did see. I think, was it in a slow? I think the first slow Husky I did. I think you were in there. Is that right, Putt Daddy? Tim saying, love the mix of contests. BBM can get kind of pricey after a bit. Yeah, and it's one of those things like, sure, like the Husky is more expensive than the BBM. And yeah, you have no shot of winning even 6 figures. But your chance of winning 10K to 50K is just much higher in this contest, even at the higher price point. And, it's less than the cost of 2 BBMs. So, however you want to look at it, I'm going to mix in a fair amount of BBMs. I'll probably end up between 75 and 8 and 90, but probably more likely at the 75 range. And it's just tough for me to want to max enter that with just the advance rates. Just really, that kind of pod luck has just been really frustrating the last few years. Had very strong rates into the playoffs and also high rated teams. Each of the last 2 years, I would have had 3 teams in top 10,000. I did have that 2 years ago, and I got the money back for it. Last year, I would have had 3 in the top 10,000, another couple right outside. So they were very strong teams, but they all got knocked out. And 2 years ago, it was 25% advance rate. Last year was like 31%. So, I'm advancing a good number of teams. I advanced 18 teams last year out of 57 entries. I mean, that's more than some people who max entered it. So, yeah, had I played more, maybe I could have gotten one through to the finals. I think I only had 2 semifinals teams, maybe 3. I want to say 2. But yeah, it's just tough. And if you do love the BBM, I think that's great. Go for it. But for me, I'm gonna only want a certain percentage of my bankroll to go to the BBM. Rankings you guys put out have been very helpful. Thank you, Tim. Tim is one of our Fanspeak Best Ball subscription members. And this filled up quickly. You guys can all check that out. $34.99 for the entire year. We're updating rankings. We have articles. We're going to do more shows and more things throughout. Let's see. Do you recognize some names in here? We got D. Latumsky in here. We got I'm Your Huckleberry. And that's all I see in here that I recognize. If anyone else is in here, please let me know. And I got the 4th spot, which is good. Hopefully someone here or in the Fanspeak community takes it down. That would be the coolest thing ever. Yes, I'd love for, if Meg or I don't win BBM, hopefully it's one of our viewers and listeners. Yeah, and if it was on stream, even better. Oh yeah, a snipe pick that led to the win would be pretty fun to watch. So I did move Jefferson down just a couple of spots, but I still think he's in the top 6. I'm not too worried about the situation, but I did put him below Lamb. I will take Lamb here. And, I still kind of think the top 6 guys through Gibbs have a tier above everyone else. It's not big, of course. And I think you can begin to make the case as CMC looks healthier and healthier that he deserves to be, in that tier. But it's tough for me to bring any of those receivers up. So coming up here, let me go to the board. Nothing too out of the ordinary. CMC did get moved up in this one. But outside that, everything else is going according to plan. And I will say, in these better advance rate tournaments, smaller fields, I do think there can be some more value in favoring running back even more. Because in the last couple of years, we've seen like receivers just have some incredible spike weeks in the postseason, particularly the finals. This helped push some like either 0 or hero RB teams to the top. But in something like this, you're not going to need that same sort of like big scores. And not that running backs can't do it, but we just haven't seen as much late in the year from running backs as receiver. I know there's some data to that. I don't even know if I'd consider that sticky. Just because people say they tire out, but then we see like what like Barkley did in the postseason, stuff like that. So I think there's more that's just not it. That's more noise than signal is how I'd put it. So I'm up into I think I'll go Bucky here. Higgins is tempting. Tyreek it is tougher for me to take Tyreek in these types of contests. Just he's so volatile. I want to limit my volatility. I don't know if there's a big enough upside case versus him versus some of these other guys, both regardless of position. And because I already have a receiver, it's not like I feel like I'm behind at receiver. So I want to balance it out. Get two hopefully good offenses. Hopefully Dallas with Dak back returns to form. And if so, I think it can be really, really strong. So coming up here, Higgins, I think, is always in play. Not loving Harrison. I think I'm just going to go receiver here. Higgins comes back to me. I almost took him over Bucky just a couple of picks ago, so that's a pretty easy decision. We got our guy Eddie in here. How's it going, Eddie? Hope you're on a good day. Tim says, James Conner, the most reliable fantasy running back of the last decade, or am I exaggerating or forgetting another big name? It was like Conner has been consistent year in, year out. So Conner, so what's interesting is the previous 3 years, Conner has been the absolute playoff hammer that you needed, late season hammer, but he missed some time early in the year. Last year, Conner was healthy throughout the year, but then he missed weeks, essentially missed week 17. So he was great week 16 though, and helped, part of the reason why I had so many playoff teams is Conner was on a couple of them. But he has been incredibly kind in a point game per game basis, and particularly in the playoffs for basically the last 4 years. Yeah, McCaffrey, when healthy, has been pretty dominant as well. Mike Rob, do you eat pre-streams or post-streams? LOL. So I was on a stream earlier. I was on Who stream. We're doing Drafters, their new Superflex. So I ate post that stream and pre this stream. But yeah, it depends on the timing. For where Conner goes, he's definitely consistent. Yeah. No, and he still remains such a value. And I don't believe that, Benson is going to steal anything. They've come out and said Conner's still the guy. So coming up in a couple, could always go Hurts, could go another receiver, James Cook. I think I'm going to go James Cook. Hurts tempting. I like being kind of balanced here. Bucky and Cook, Lamb and Higgins. Feels pretty good. Potentially 2 top 10 running backs, 2 top 10 receivers. Feels like that's a good start. Wow, Pickens at 38. I want him at 39. How's it going, Omni Huckleberry? Hope it's, we're 2 of the three spots advancing from this. So I'm going to come back. Had Hurts fallen back, I would have taken him. Didn't think he would. He really doesn't anymore. But I'm going to go Sutton here. I think, let me go to the board and then hit up chat. So we got our guy Jeff T. I'm just here so I don't get fined. We got Eddie, Mike Rob. He's cooking right now. Can't you see his draft is going? He definitely eats after. Tully Connor seems like a huge RB2. He looks like he can score every time in the red zone. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's so good in the red zone. He's good in the passing game. He's not going to put up like Jahmyr Gibbs numbers, but for what he does, he's very strong in the passing game. The bye week pros are setting your house aflame as we speak after gazing at your wide receiver room. Yeah, I did take 2 week 10s to start, and I'll probably stop there. I'm not going to tack on probably anymore because I'm ideally only going to go, 7 wide receivers. And I do think, again, in this contest, getting one of those 3 spots is so key. I want to do everything in my power to ensure that I get there. And managing your buys correctly helps your advance rate. I don't think there's any question about that. But I'm not worried because it's also from a whole team bet. Like if and this is the thing, if like my second running back instead of James Cook was like Tony Pollard or just more and more week 10s, and it's like, God, that week I could just be totally dead. And if I lose a top 3 spot because of that, I'd hate myself. It's just so important to advance, especially in these kind of tournaments. So up into I did it. I got Burrow back. I'm sure the Chase drafter wants him, but we are going to take him here. And so, now I have Burrow, 2 top, potentially top 10 running backs, 3 receivers I feel really good about. I didn't get the chance to talk about Courtland Sutton. I will after I make this pick. We'll see where we're at. Mixon's falling. I'm going to let him still fall. I don't want to be totally out on him. Maybe some of these high dollar contests, I don't take those shots, but we'll see. So Pacheco goes Swift or Montgomery or Golden. I'm going to go Monty. I know Gibbs is likely to take over more and more, but they just gave Monty a big extension. I don't think he's not being utilized as a third back. Different buy that helps as well. I think he'll hit the flex quite a few times. Quite a few times this year. So let me go back to the board. And like Courtland Sutton, I took him a couple rounds ago. I think he's being very underdrafted. The Broncos last year finished 10th in points, and they don't have a single player being drafted in top, essentially 50 picks. Like Sutton's ADP is hovering right around like 49. That seems wrong. So in the first 4 rounds, this offense, which was top 10 last year and should only get better given second year in the system for Knicks, more weapons, etc. Not a single guy in the top 4 rounds. I think Sutton, that could make Sutton a big steal. If you look, I think it was week 9 on as Knicks started to take off, Sutton was wide receiver 8, and he was like 14 overall. So it's not like he was bad overall. Already returning value, but that's kind of upside that he's bringing to the table. So right now I feel very good. It's very balanced. A top 5 quarterback in Burrow, 3 running backs I feel good about, 3 receivers I feel good about. I like the start of this team. I have a pre-draft with an Eagles Buck stacks and have like 12 people. Yeah, that's tough in pre-draft. And it is one thing, we talked about some is one, those teams like pre-draft, especially almost every team had 3 quarterbacks. I don't care what quarterbacks I was taking, because you could have sat there and thought, oh, well, I'll take Lamar and Allen. Like I'll be so set. And then they had the same buy, or, McBride and Bowers, and they had the same buy. So for those onesie positions, I did like having 3. And there are still situations like you could have had 3 quarterbacks week 9, absolutely. Just it does happen, but it's something to to keep in mind for pre-draft, and even like before the schedule comes out, like at the start of BBM. It was about 2 weeks, from when BBM came out and Puppy. So those teams I definitely was prioritizing more. So Mooney's already fallen some. I think here, though, I think Hawkinson is a tier break at tight end, and he falls about 10 spots here. So I like that. Pittman, I know, got banged up today. We'll see what comes back to me at pick 100. Probably going receiver here. If Mooney's there, pick 100, I think that is worth it. Okay, it's not letting me grab and scroll. I don't know why. That is annoying. So, a couple picks, we'll see. I think we go Mooney here. Yeah. It doesn't sound like the injury is serious enough that he's going to miss time. I know it says status uncertain, but I just think the upside is still worth it. He was a guy who was going, a week ago, pick 85, even sometimes around 80. So we could potentially gain some good value here. We got Rick in here. Fill rates are seemingly a bit slower with the Husky and the Chihuahua too, possibly because the influencers are convincing everyone to go into slow draft hell. And I'm definitely in slow draft hell, so I can't judge on that. But honestly, slow drafts actually, I think, increase the fill rates. For contests. Like you look at something like the Greyhound, the $35 single entry, that took forever to fill because it was fast drafts only. If you had a slow draft option, that would have filled at least 2 weeks sooner. It's single entry, but it's cheaper than like this contest. It's cheaper than the Chow Chow, etc. Has similarly very good advance rates, very good, finals, very small finals. It's like a 53-man final and like 30 to 40K up top. But it took forever because it was fast draft only. So I don't know. I actually think the slow drafts help contests fill more. It does seem to be slower today. Could be just not fatigue, but they did just release a lot, including 2 other higher dollar ones. So that could have people taking a bit more time. But this one is much bigger. It's about twice the size of the Chow Chow, and 9 times the size of the Bulldog. So it also makes sense. And the Chow Chow is 10 or 15 max. So this is closer to that in terms of the 10 max. Let's see. This is not what I was hoping for. I think I'm just going to go craft, get a second tight end. I think I'll probably stop at 2 tight ends, or at least that's how I'm in position to do right now. And we'll see what comes back to me. There's a couple guys I wouldn't mind. Probably looking at one of these 2. And Love goes. So hopefully McCarthy doesn't go. Be a little frustrating. So, all right, I get McCarthy. I feel good about this. 2-3-4-2. Feel pretty balanced. Feel in a good spot that I can go in a couple different directions, not in the next rounds, or just in how this draft is built out. And let's see, a little bit ahead of schedule on BBM. It would be nice to see that contest feel faster so I can go back to drafting BBMs. Thanks, Underdog. Burrow is going to have a season for the record books for passing this year. I'm really banking on the Bengals defense being terrible. I think that's a fair bet. And Joe having to put up 400 yards passing every week. Yeah. I mean, what him and Chase did last year, considering how slow a start they got off to, is very impressive. Like the first couple weeks, the Patriots held the offense to what, 1 touchdown week 1. And it was a couple weeks of that. Like, let me look. I have the stats up real quick. Joe Burrow. Yeah, Joe Burrow in the first 3 games, he had just 1 game over 20 points, week 3, 25-point game. But after that, he was getting 20 points nearly every, most weeks after that. So, all right, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 of the remaining weeks. So, yeah. If that offense can get it from the jump, it'll be even more impressive. Yeah. No, I think as a pure passer, Joe Burrow, I think you have to say he's the best pure passer. Are you now likely to move DeAndre Hopkins up with the injury? See what I did there? I did see what you did there, Mike. And I probably will. I think the likely injury, I'll move him down slightly, and I will move up probably both Hopkins and Bateman, and even Flowers a little bit, and Andrews, of course. Oh my God, if likely fell to around 18, that would be insane. Hope it's not too serious. I have lots of money. Yeah, I do too, but it doesn't sound too bad. So, I need to be cautious, of course. That might be my only share in one of these Huskies for Mooney. I don't want to be like exceedingly over the field. I'll take Kyle Williams here. Camp Report's been pretty good about him. Might not start out with the ones, or might take a little bit more time, but I think he ends up there. Honestly, Steve really seems like a Charlie Kohler type of Ravens tight end guy. I mean, I love Iowa State. I'm saying everyone is drowning in the past slows and can't enter these new ones. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, they already have so many, they don't want to enter these slows as well. I got you. That's probably a little fair. I also think this, particularly the Chihuahua, it is a 25 max. So, hold on here. Rashard White. I have Bucky. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go Romeo Doubs. I already have Tucker Kraft. I'm making a little bit of a Packers bet. So that's my kind of thought there. And in this contest, I like Doubs a lot more. Like, I think he's a very safe pick. I don't think he's got a ton of upside, but I don't need that. And also, he helps in a situation where, like, Mooney starts slow, Kyle Williams starts slow. Doubs can be filling in some of those early weeks. So, yeah, I do think with the 25 max, and it's 70,000 entries. So it's not like part of the issue with the German Shepherd is it was 20 max, but there's only like 22,000 and change entries. So and not that I think 1,000 people max, but if 1,000 people max, the contest is almost filled. If 600 people max, it's half or over half filled. And even if you had something like 500 people max, another 500 do 10, another couple hundred do 5, like then it's pretty much filled. Like, you do that same thing with this, even if 500 people max, it's nowhere near filled. Even 1,000 people max, it's less than 1/3 filled. So there's that aspect to it as well. There's only so many people who are maxing these kind of contests, and if you get all those people doing those German Shepherds back to back, then yeah, it fills pretty quickly. And even something like the Pomeranian, which has a similar size to this, or is bigger, I should say bigger than German Shepherd, that was a 50 max. So you're still getting a sizable amount of the fill rate from there. I will take Jerome Ford. It is not sounding positive news on the Judkins front. Sampson's probably going to be the long-term answer, but I think Ford's going to have plenty of usage. So I would like to get a third quarterback. It is dried up considerably, and I don't really want a risky guy like Richardson or Daniels. So we'll see if a guy gets back to me. I can confirm I need a deposit bonus and validation. I would love if they would have another deposit bonus coming out. That would be, I think, real nice with all these contests. So there is Gesicki, but I think I'm just going to stop at 2 tight ends. Maybe if I tack on a third later, it'll be at value. I'm going to add Sam Darnold here. Right now, the quarterback situation has gotten a little, a little bit murkier, because I think for a while, I and many people were under the assumption that Daniel Jones had at least the outcome to start all year. He still could start. He still could start more games than Anthony Richardson. We just don't know if it's early, late, particularly in the tournament formats. I think both Richardson and Daniel Jones are much more riskier picks right now. The Browns, Kenny Pickett got banged up. That kind of opens the door to Flacco to be the clear starter. But beyond that, I don't think we have a lot of clarity there. It doesn't sound like Shador is anywhere close to starting. And then with the Giants, Russ is, I think, clearly established as the one, but behind him, when Dart would take over, I think that's up in the air. And then the Saints, they're giving all their quarterbacks, I guess, a chance. I'd still bet on it being Tyler Shuck, but it's not a great situation. So let's go to the board. We got 3 more picks here. Mike, people are broke, Steve. That's why the fill rate is down. We need them. Yeah, absolutely. We got the disco raid. Appreciate that. Who Hames, all these guys coming from, and Big Draft Energy coming from his stream. Appreciate seeing you guys in here. I know you guys were first. It was Who Hames channel. I was on there. Then Big Draft Energy came on, and he did his own stream. And I know he and Who Hames were doing Drafters content with the new Superflex there. But I appreciate you guys coming over, saying hi, checking this out. We got Gamble Stain in here, my favorite streamer. I appreciate that, though. I know you say that to all the streamers, Gamblestein or Gamblestein. But no, I love seeing you guys all coming over. We got Brett in here. Steve, how are you doing tonight? Did we cook? Stoked to see it gain good reception from the public. Yeah, I'm on the clock, and then I'll answer your question a bit more. Let's go Darius Slayton, get some receiver help. But no, I absolutely think you cooked Brett. Brett's part of the Underdog draft team. And I think this contest, I said this at the top, I think it's maybe the best combination of Like it's not even the extreme, it's got essentially the same advance rates as the Bulldog, even half price. So if Bulldog was a little too expensive, this is a better format. And, also 50K top prize is nice because some of these ones like the Dalmatian, it's 30K. And look, I'd love 30K. But it's, 50K is a great top prize for this. And for, to max $400, you get your money back to make finals, great advance rate. So, ideally, if you get one finals team and probably a couple of playoff teams, you probably made money in and of itself. And then if you move forward in the finals and have a good run, obviously you can get a really, really nice payday. So I'm absolutely a big fan of this contest. I like for some of the higher dollar amounts to have the 3 of 12 to start. I do think that adds a lot. Let's go Miles Sanders here first. And so that's my 5th running back. Bucky, James Cook, Dave Montgomery, Jerome Ford, Miles Sanders. I think I can stop there. My wide receiver room, Lamb, Higgins, Sutton, Mooney, Kyle Williams, Romeo Doubs, Darius Slayton. I could stop there if I need to. 2 week 10 or 2 week 10s, 2 week 5s, 2 week 14s. So we will see what I do with the last pick. Could go tight end, could go receiver. I think it all depends on what comes back to me. So, but yes, thanks, Brett, for checking in. And I'm glad it's getting such positive reception because I am a big fan. And I hope to see more and more contests like this. Disbanded over the Mooney. Big Draft in here saying hello, Steve. Good seeing you. Always big draft energy. Hope you're doing well. Disbanded. Is Dubs going to be on the team? I think so. I think him, Golden, and Reed are fairly safe. And I guess there's a chance they could trade him away, but I don't think they're cutting him or anything like that. I think Wicks's role is a bit more threatened. But I think the only way he's not on the team is if they work out some sort of trade. I think they value him as a blocker. They value him as just a consistent route runner. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to be like a top tier guy, but he can be a chain mover for you. Ideally, he's like your 3rd target in an offense, a 3rd or 4th, even if you have a good tight end. But I think he'll have multiple usable weeks. He's got some size, some red zone ability. So I think he's fairly safe. So I'm up to make my last pick in this. Aaron Rodgers fell. You rarely see that nowadays. I definitely wish I had waited and taken Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the day, you just don't know. Tight end. I'm going to go with my guy in the stack, MVS. I think it makes sense. With Hawkinson and Kraft, I feel I'm good enough at tight end. So we will take a look at my team, and I'm your Huckleberry's team as this wraps up. Then we will get into another one. Let me catch up with chat real quick. Yeah, the Mooney comment was there the whole time. So much quarterback thirst that Leone is backing off 3 quarterbacks. Wow, I hadn't seen that. We're all looking for the persons that did that. We got Rabona King in here. Steve, thoughts on Jags RB1 situation? Well, first, thanks for joining in chat. Appreciate everyone's support. Appreciate everyone liking the episode. And anyone who hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. We appreciate you. As for the Jags RB1 situation, I think the camp reports do favor positively to Bigsby and ETN. In terms of if you're asking for just like RB carries, I think that could be Bigsby. In terms of fantasy points, that could be ETN, just because I think he's going to have way more passing game work. So if the carries are, 55, 45, and, Tootin will have something there, but If the carries are close between Bigsby and ETN, maybe ETN gets enough through the passing game. But Bigsby could have a lean and touchdown. So right now, I'm letting ETN's falling a little bit, so I'm fine taking that. Bigby's going to rise some, so I'm fine taking that. I'm not really taking Tootin. I took him some early, but just the more I think about it, I don't know if he's a great Liam Cohen fit. It was the GM, James Gladstone, that was extremely high on him. Liam Cohen wanted to RJ Harvey, so I do. It's hard not to keep that in mind. And I worry about Tootin being a fit for Cohen in that Tootin really is best in his own scheme, and he's best when he doesn't have to make a lot of decisions. He can just hit the hole and go. Liam Cohen, Tootin and Bucky Irving couldn't be any more different at running back. Tootin, extremely athletic and fast. Bucky Irving, not. Tootin is not a great pass catcher. Irving, much better pass catcher. Tootin, I think, lacks good vision. And Irving, that's his calling card. So, even though they're both fourth-round rookie running backs, I think that's kind of where the comp ends between the two. So to answer your question, though, I'm taking both ETN and Bigsby. I'm definitely taking more Bigsby now. I wasn't taking them too much early. And I'm just kind of betting I'm going to be right on those two. Who's better at fantasy football, me or my sister? Well, it's a good question. In our family league, I think she had better we haven't done it in a couple of years, but she had better results than me. But, we both had success at best ball. She made a BBN finals a couple of years ago. She made another finals last year. I play more volume, but I do, I do have a pretty strong advance rate these last couple of years, and, do have more total finals appearances. We got FK. I noticed that as well and had been making some offhand comments that we were going to pass a tipping point where maybe two quarterbacks come better. So I think it just kind of matters, like, how high are they getting pulled up? I don't think taking a third quarterback, just take a third quarterback, always makes sense. I do think it can help some. And I think right now it's just we have so much uncertainty on the Saints, the Giants, the Browns, even the Colts. So uncertain situations aren't typically great because, as we saw last year, everyone was drafting Fields over Russ. I mean, they were wrong. If Russ doesn't get injured, Fields doesn't see the field last year. People were taking McCarthy over Darnold, and maybe McCarthy would have gotten there at the end of the year. But if Darnold had it, I think Darnold was absolutely starting day one. And if he played like he did, he probably was keeping that job all year. So that probably was wrong. So, it's tough. Like we need to identify the right guys. If you get the right one, you're getting value in those situations. If you get the wrong one, it could be a total miss. And then like something last year, like Daniel Jones, like he was essentially like he was like the first guy truly benched. And so he was a dud late round pick. Same with of course, Anthony Richardson is an early round pick. Everyone knew the injury risk. Nobody knew the bench risk. So, it's tough, but I do think if you get three valuable quarterbacks, I can say I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers in the final round than Darnold. But still, I like having three starting quarterbacks, especially for contests like this. In a puppy, maybe you can get by with two elites. And also it's what quarterbacks are you taking? Are you taking, Jaden and Baker Mayfield? Okay, you feel a lot better about that. That's potentially two top 10 quarterbacks, top 5 quarterbacks. If you're taking, Jaden and Cam Ward, I don't feel as good about that. Or Lamar and Tua with Tua's injury history, or even, I like Penix, but Penix is riskier. So I think it all depends on what quarterbacks you're talking about, where you're getting them. I just think in general, even taking three through the first 14 rounds, you're probably going to increase your advance rate, and you have 3 outs any playoff week. Big Draft Industry, Ray Peeps. Hey, you're pretty awesome as well. I love your streams. Appreciate all the support you give. Yeah, Steve, I definitely don't say that to all the streamers. No, I know. I love giving you a hard time. He told me that my beard is inferior to Huheim's. Ouch. That hurts. I will not be at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton this year. I've not gone. Just doesn't typically work out for me. But probably sometime I want to check it out. We got Zero in here saying, what's up? How you doing, Zero? Wix cooked. Yeah. Keep in mind, Watson and Gut Dub's contract are up after 2025, and assume one or both are not back in 2026. Yeah. No, I completely agree. And just with Watson's injury thing, it's tough for them to count on them. But at the same time, the Packers are a playoff caliber team. I don't think they just get rid of Dobbs to get rid of him. Like, if they feel he helps them win, they're going to keep him. We got our guy Chad Candles in here. You know him. He's the morning streamer. He had a stream today before these contests dropped where he did a couple of BBMs and then a Badge Bros. I got in a couple of those drafts. Zero. Savion or Golden? Well, definitely Golden. And I know, Savion's much cheaper, but Golden is going to be a clear starter. I think he offers deep threat ability. I think he's just going to be out there basically every play. Savion's an interesting guy as a late round, 18th round click. I don't mind sprinkling him in every now and then. I've only done it once or twice. And only if you feel really confident about the rest of your receiver room, because he could end up being just a zero. But he also could be interesting, and he, particularly if this Marshawn Lloyd thing is something real, he could end up being the passing down back for the Packers. He's very good out of the backfield. Rabona, keep up the good work, Steve. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What streams are you hitting up this week? Well, in terms of what I'm watching, of course, I love watching, all the streams that are out there. Huhane's Big Draft Energy, PPR Tyler, BBG, Emo. Ballsy was last night, but of course you have Candyman stream, JT Bestball late at night, Chad Candles in the morning. So a lot of great streamers. As for what I'll be on this week, I'll probably do a couple more of these shows. I need to see about making some guests. Also one shout out Off the Schneid. He's always a great stream. He did a stream last night as well. I know, not sure the next time he's going live. But I need to try and get some guests. I'm not sure when my streams will be. I will have on Thursday this week. That's where Best Ball Jeopardy is going to be. And Meg and I will also do a Sibling Showdown Thursday. And then I know she has Friends of Best Ball show on Friday. Guys, see you're going against Spread and Tyler again. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens. The first non-Tootin hype stream. Yeah, I'm definitely not as high on him. I will count it down. Let me catch up with chat, and so it'll be like 2 minutes from now. But I will give you the exact time in a second. Darnold is like the last quarterback that seems to be certainty in the role, but others still get taken a lot. Yeah, no, I mean Darnold and Rodgers, whichever order you're taking them, I think they're pretty certain and safe. But after that, it totally drops off. Mike Robb, to be fair to Average drafters last year, he benched himself before the team did. No one could have predicted that. Very fair. We got our guy, hit him with the gritty, Mike Boldick in here, taking a lot of elite quarterback plus Fields plus Goff Dak. Yeah, and I know you've always been bullish on elite quarterbacks, and sometimes it works more, sometimes it works less. I think, and 3 quarterback builds also, like it just depends, but it's a way to get multiple outs. And I know you prioritize like rushing quarterbacks, which obviously has a lot of value. And no, I think, to the data that's out there, 3 quarterback is better for advance rate. I think it can be better for playoff weeks. And even in the finals, if you have 3 healthy quarterbacks, I mean, plenty of teams will end up with only one because they only drafted two and one guy's injured. So you could just be at a huge advantage. And then if you do have a guy injured, then you have two. And so you're still ahead of the field. I did hear something about Savion being the best pick on the board. I don't know about best pick on the board, but we got no nonsense media in here. Steve does drafts. Let's go. Appreciate that. What stack do you predict winning someone millions? I mean, it's easy to say, and not just because I just took it, the Burrow with one of his top pass catchers, Chase or Higgins. So I would just hope Higgins. Zero says A-Rich and Pierce. I mean, Pierce benefited greatly with A-Rich last year, that's for sure. But I think for me, if I had to point one, I just keep coming back to the Falcons-Rams game. So I don't know if it's Penix to London or, Stafford. We hope he's playing, but he's got these two elite receivers, and I question the Falcons secondary. So that could be a fun one. And, the other one, I also like Tampa. I like Baker and Evans, Baker, Godwin, and Buka. I think those are very much in play. Dolphins secondary is bad. I mean, it just looks bad. And Penix to Pitts and Mooney would be electric. Yeah. So let's start the next draft up. I will count it down. Again, probably don't have to with the way this is filling, but I will enter at 8:57 p.m. Eastern time, so adjust for whatever time zone you're in. And it just went, so we are entering now. And waiting on two, so still a couple spots. So hopefully, Rick, you can get in here. Please tell my buddy Tim Daly to draft Bucky Irving. Love you. Thanks. Well, I just drafted Bucky Irving, so I'm on board with that. Jalen Lake going to be a big winner. Now, that would be a surprise. All right. This draft has started. We got Huckleberry in here again. We got Hit Him with the Gritty and Boston George, and Griff. Griff, I believe that's Rick. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, so this is going to be a fun one here. Only three of us can make the finals out of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. So hopefully the 5 of us take the 3 spots. And if anyone else is in here, please let me know. Appreciate everyone for joining me in chat, in the drafts. Really appreciate all your support. 33 likes is okay, but I know Steve O'Holics out there can bump that up. Appreciate you, Mike. Steve, I wish I followed you in 2022. And I did a bunch of BBMs and stunk. Some of my high exposed guys were KJ Lee and Benjamin, or KJ Hamler. Yeah, no, we weren't doing much. We did a little content that year, but we've really ramped it up these last couple of years. So I'm in the 8th spot. So far, Chase, Jefferson, Bijan, Huckleberry takes Barkley. So first 6 go kind of as expected. Puka goes. I'm going to take McCaffrey. I just said it. I think he's much closer to the top than the bottom half of the board. And let's go to the board here. Yeah, so Rick is in the 12 hole. He's Griff. Disband, yeah, it is a nice room. Should be good. 2 spots. I'm getting one. Appreciate you, Huckleberry, for joining. No, they didn't. Great to be here with you all. Please don't draft anyone I want. Thank you all much. Yeah. Nonsense asking what's your White exposure to Bucky. I'm actually pretty high on both. I know you're asking Tim, but I'm pretty high on both. I think one interesting thing with White is I think he does have both standalone and contingent value role. So Genty falls back. Almost never see Genty here. So we'll do running back start. McCaffrey and Genty, which early at the start of, definitely in big board season and in early BBM, you could get it. But it was always Genty first and McCaffrey second. Now this is a much more rare combo. So that's interesting. And I like being strong at running back in this format. To the saint that just gifted me neighbors, God bless you. So Gritty went double running back also, Henry and JT. No nonsense, or went neighbors Thomas, then Griff gained a Monron, Nico, Huckleberry, Saquon, Tyreek. So good starts, some different build structures, but that's what you'd expect. Yeah, no, two sophomore receivers with so much upside. So let's see, coming up in 4 picks, I definitely looking receiver. Not necessarily loving what I see at receiver. Let's see what's left for me. Took Adams in the last one. I take Josh Allen here. I know we have him in some of the other high dollar ones, but I don't mind that. I think he can be quarterback 1. So I go 1-2 to start. No receivers through 3 rounds. Definitely not what most people do. Hit him with Gritty, follows it right back up and does the same sort of thing. Taking Hurts. We'll be up in 6 picks. But especially in these like better advance rates, higher dollar contests, when you start running back and elite quarterback, you're trying to win those positions and give yourself just such a high floor, because running backs are going to generally score more than receivers. And of course, quarterbacks are the highest scoring position there are. So if you can get an elite guy, you can kind of give yourself such a strong floor. So I definitely don't mind that strategy in these kind of contests. And also, this is just a range that I like receiver way more. He takes Jameson Williams. I'm not the highest guy on JSN, but I will take the fall here. I only have 3.5%, but if I'm getting him, that's kind of where I think he should go. I'll take that value. I must say, I absolutely love the Steel PR getting Devontae Adams in the 4th. And I get there's some concern with the Matt Stafford thing, but I feel like that is an incredible value, because it was between him and Allen for me at 32. This board is playing out like a Badge Bros brawl. 1-1 is going for the Mega Cincy stack. Worth noting that after the early 30s, we have a wall of yellow. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other reason why I don't mind going running back early, because these next couple rounds, I feel like I can get the receivers. I mean, when I say catch up, yeah, I don't think JSN is going to be a top 5 or probably even top 10 receiver, but he should be top 15, top 20 at worst. Same with whoever comes back to me here. Maybe if there's running back value, I pivot back and kind of go. I don't know if I'll do a true hyper fragile, but I could go down that road. So getting a little fall on some of these guys. We will go Travis Hunter. We're going to go for upside here. I know I need more Jalen and Waddle. It's just tough for me to take him in these kind of contests. And I do have 3 week 8 buys already, so that is something worth noting. Again, I don't want to overly stack a certain week and end up, as I said before, I don't think you can win a playoff spot. I feel a little better having a third playoff spot, but I don't think you can win a playoff spot in 1 week. But I do wonder if you can lose it, and saying like not only finishing 12th, but having like 70 points. That can be tough to come back from. So we'll see what gets back to me. I feel like I could go either direction, running back or receiver. Depends on what is there. Caleb Johnson's really been moving up. I like that pick. I think he's going to be in that Najee role, which is scored. Diggs, hit him with great. I love that pick. I was considering pulling him up. I like Addison, but I'm going to go Debo. The reports are good. I do want to start getting more of them, and not just on Jaden teams, just in general. I think he's a creative player, and they have a creative offense coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury. They could work well together. You do need good health. It's always a concern with him. But I like the upside. So let's go back to the board. And check out what people are saying. My wide receiver room is more likely to punch the quarterback than catch a touchdown. But here we are. Let's see, Huckleberry, Metcalf, Pickens, and Tyreek Hill. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. When Metcalf might be the most stable one, and probably by a mile, that's saying something. He hasn't really done it much, but he used to have plenty of sideline tantrums and antics. Kenneth Walker hype is a little out of control for a bad offense and offensive line. So, I do agree it's a bad offensive line, though I do also think it could be better than last year. One, they could be healthier than last year, and they drafted Greg Zabel in the first round. But as terms of bad offense, I don't know if it will be. I can't remember exactly where they finished last year, but Darnold to Geno is probably a wash. You could say Darnold's a better fit from a deep ball throwing perspective for the offense. If Kenneth Walker is healthier, then the running back room is better. I think Arroyo could actually be an upgrade over Noah Fant. And then, the emergence of JSN, Cup, that's that doesn't make up for DK and Lockett entirely, but I don't think it's going to be terrible. So I think it could be an average to above average offense. You can go Tony Pollard here. I mean, these receivers are fine, just don't. Yeah, it's just not a great area. We still need more clarity on the Chris Godwin situation. I'm taking him some, and I would consider taking him at the right price in this tournament, but just not somebody I want a ton in a tournament like this. Steve-O blesses me with the Kamara payback, and I get sniped again. How did Genty fall to 17? Yeah, I like the value there. Yeah. No, he, sometimes it works. And when you do take all three, it's harder. Like I would, in the last draft, I could take, where was I, like right here or right here? I could easily take Burrow because I had Higgins. But when you take all three, it's harder to justify taking Burrow. So that's one way to try and really push them back, is to take all three. It's not a guarantee at that point, but I do think that drastically increases your chances. Boy, it could go with another injured, either Mooney or Pittman. Not ideal. And because of that, I think I'm going to just go down to Jaden Higgins. I just want more clarity. Had we not had this Pittman groin injury, groin injuries are just something that could take a while to heal. It's not ideal. How often do you multi-table between platforms at the same time, or you just take sections of your day for each platform? I do it some. I do that less. Most of my fast drafts are on Underdog. I might do one a day from the other two sites combined fast. I'm doing slows there, and I will, while I'm in a fast draft on Underdog, I'll be looking at my slows in other formats. But there are definitely times where I've multied. Like this past weekend, Drafters had that promo. I was doing some Drafters drafts and UD fast at the same time. But generally, most of my fast drafts are done on Underdog. Let's keep the material room going. Yeah, this is a tough room. No, it's, I think, everyone's trying to stick to their plan, and I get it. I think that's how you draft. Yeah. So at the turn here, and we'll be up in a few picks. So Laporte is coming up. He was falling for a while, but now he's getting pulled back up. He went 73. I like him more when getting him in the late 70s, early 80s. That happened for a little while, not really happening much anymore, which is unfortunate. So Pittman sliding. I would happily take Coleman back for the stack. We'll see if I can get him. And let's see here. Shaheed would be a backup option. So we'll take Coleman. Get the stack with Josh Allen. Not that you have to always stack with Josh Allen, especially higher end, but I think when I do the next ranking updates, depending on the clarity we see with some of these injuries, like I might have to put Pittman behind Coleman and a few other guys. Rick, I did a room. Steve-O Speak Wednesday. Oh, yes, let's not spread those rumors. No, I am not doing fake accounts or anything like that. We got our guy Spread in here. Let's go. He and Tyler were on doing DK show earlier. This Chihuahua room, and just let me get Nico BTJ McBride. Wow, that is pretty rare. So coming up here, Scatterboo goes to Griff. If he got back to me, I was going to take him. We are going to... Don't really love it. Bo Nix falling. I might take him and just see if I can backstack him. You know, I mean, I think that's what I'm going to go with. I mean, falling, 15 picks past, 15 picks past ADP. If we get a stack, we get a stack. If not, just gain value with another quarterback with some rushing upside and a clear ability to be a top 10 quarterback. We got Fantasy Dog in here, 37 like, busy, got you tabbed. Just want to say hi. Hope you're doing well, Fantasy Dog. Nice snipe on Ramondre. In over my head, completely quarterback dead right now. Oh, sorry about that. Who saying hi. Who are you looking to get, Griff? Let's go to the board here. Well, you got Jaden Daniels, so. Or no, wait, who said they were quarterback dead? No, that was no nonsense, not Rick. Sorry. So Boston. Yeah, one of the downsides, probably the biggest downsides with neighbors is you can't even really backstack like with confidence. I'm sure you can take a shot at Dart or you could believe Russ plays better, but you can't really take that at confidence. Same with Olave. It's definitely one of the reasons why Olave, I think, stays where he is drafted and downs. But I would just say get a quarterback. Like, end of the day, you need to get a guy. I don't love Kincaid, and I do think you have to. And he did. I saw he return to practice, but I probably will have to go 3 tight ends when I have Kincaid. But I'm okay with that. I just think the value, stacking a tight end there, kind of at around his ADP. Should have probably considered Mims. We'll see. Maybe he'll get back to me. Maybe not. It's just I needed a tight end, so maybe not the right call. I hope Kincaid pans out. I just don't have a lot of faith. Quarterback freak out picks incoming. Well, I mean, sometimes you got to do it, and famously we've heard multiple BBM winners and finalists say that they got sniped and had to go with some other option, and that ended up panning out and helping them win. So we did get Mims back. I will take him, for just another stack, add some value. So that's my 6th receiver, and feel good about that room. Oh, my scroll is not going well. There we go. We got Putt Daddy. I was in back-to-back rooms with Notorious Dab and Notorious Itsky. It was a little paranoid about the names. That's interesting. Yeah. Herbert, why did you even say hi? Major bout here with the slot demon and Stroud. Yeah. No. And I mean, I don't mind it. I think Kirk could carve out a role. Maybe isn't the guy you need end of the year, but early reports are good on him. And a stacking partner of Stroud, I think, is always fine. Stroud is definitely a quarterback you kind of need to stack, but I could see this offense really taking off and being more like what we saw Stroud's rookie year. Who took Tua? Let's see, where'd Tua go? Our guy No Nonsense got him. So coming up in 2, we are looking running back. I took Rachaad White last time. This time I will take Eckler. I think they're very similar in terms of running back. There's a fall in Ferguson, which is tempting, but I want to get another running back. It had been a long time since I'd gone running back. Went from pick 80 to 152. So I probably will tack on a 7th receiver, but that'll probably be like the last round. I think Bigsby was another one I was considering. And I will say, I don't know what I'm going to do with Kyle Pitts. The camp report buzz is there, but we've heard it every single year, just about. So I need to start taking him more. I think I've only taken him a handful of times, almost always with Penix, but probably should just start taking him some. It's just tough when guys like Ertz and Gesicki, Hunter Henry, those guys who either have been top 10 tight ends or clearly have the upside, go behind them. I do think with likely falling, it's easier to take Pitts a little higher. So let's go tight end. We'll go Henry. I feel like Henry could be a safer option than Brenton Strange. Strange might have more upside. Definitely think I'm going 3 tight ends with this build. Shouldn't have taken Herbert. This is war. Oh boy, chat's getting fiery. Unstacked 2 in golf, but couldn't close 400 rushing yards. Yeah. I think I half autoed a team falling asleep, but that's better than this team. It's all good. We got our guy JT Bestball in here. What's going on? I think you're going live tonight with Hartman and Candyman, right? Let us know in chat what time you guys are going live. And 3 picks combined make Ferguson and Rachaad White look sexy. Yeah. No, I mean, I honestly like Rachaad White a lot. Like, people take Jalen Warren still just after pick 100. Rachaad White goes 140s, Eckler 150s. Is there a big difference between these 3 running backs? I don't honestly think so. In fact, both White and Eckler have shown to be better touchdown getters. So I don't know, like, and are part of a better offense. That's one of the issues where I have a tough time taking Jalen Warren where he's going. If Jalen Warren was going in the 130s and it was much closer, then I could maybe buy it. But where he's going right now is just, it's a tougher click for me. I will take Darnold again. I like having 3 quarterbacks. I have JSN. So that plays out. I obviously don't want Darnold in all my Husky drafts, but at his price, locking in a 3rd quarterback, I feel good about it. And this is what I mean, where quarterback just is done now, Like Rodgers went to Huckleberry, him with the gritty takes Richardson, and then it's either betting against Richardson with Darren Jones, Tyler Shock, or one of the Giants guys, or Flacco. So I'll be up in a couple. Could go running back or tight end. Probably will wait till receiver to my last pick. Keenan Allen going here. That's one of the higher places I've seen him, but of late. But it does, there's at least some buzz that he could be signing. When he does, he absolutely will go higher. I'll take Gesicki here. I do like him with gritty taking Freiermuth. I don't get why he goes undrafted sometimes or is an 18th round guy. I think Freiermuth still has top 20 tight end upside, could be top 15, and could even outscore Jonnu if the touchdowns fall his way. I think people are writing him off completely, and I don't think that's the right call. Yes, in the garage, 9:45 Central Time, so 10:45 Eastern. Tim saying great show last night, JT. This has been brutal, sniped left and right. Yeah, this has been a tough room, Mike. I agree with you. Yeah. So I'm done at tight end, done at quarterback. I'm going to add one more running back, one more receiver. And let's see where we're at. So this has definitely been an interesting draft. I know some people have been scrambling for quarterbacks. Some, not loving how their team is, but that is the benefit of 3 advancing. You do have a little bit more. You don't need to build as perfect of a team, and it's similar to like the big board pre-draft. Also, Dalmatian and Bulldog have been 3 or 4 advance as well, but big board pre-draft is 3-12, and partly that's due to not knowing all landing spots and the bye weeks and stuff like that. But having this in the regular format, I'm a fan. I know they want to limit, the final size and stuff like that, but I think this tournament worked out really well, and I'm really excited to continue to draft this. So I'm sure Royal would be there, but I do not need a tight end. Let's see what's there. Running back real quick. Jarquez Hunter. Oh, I don't know if I can bring myself to Woody Marks. We will take Jarquez Hunter. Running back really dried up here. Sometimes, guys like Taj Brooks and a few others are there, but we'll just go Hunter. That leaves receiver. I have not taken much Dante Thornton. I know he's continued to look good, and he's got definitely some clear spike week upside. For contests like this, I'll probably prefer more safety. I don't think I'll go MVS here, just since I have JSN. I don't think I'll go something like Elijah Moore, or even like a Troy Franklin. I do that in some smaller contests, but I don't know if I want to do that in a $40 contest. Franklin I've rarely taken, but I get it. Somebody has to emerge opposite Sutton in the wide receiver room, whether that's Pat Bryant, who I'm most bullish on, Franklin, Bailey, Mims, who I have in this draft. Feels like 1 or 2 will hit. So let's see. I don't want a week 8 bye if I can avoid it. Week 12, I have 2 of each. Anything else I think is well in play. I'm just going to go Tyler Lockett. With Traylon Burks being injured and then cut, I think Lockett absolutely starts out the year as a starter. That helps with some of these rookies and, younger guys like Hunter, Jaden, even Keon Coleman in second year, Mims in his third year. My receiver room is weaker. I'm definitely needing some of these young guys to hit. I need Debo to stay healthy. But I knew that going in. I went with the kind of the double anchor running back. I went with an elite quarterback. And I did tack on a mid guy, but there's value there. I tacked on Darnold at the end to go with my top receiver. And tight end, I waited on that. Still got 3 starters. And could be, it's crazy. And this is the issue with tight end is Gesicki very well could end up being my high scoring tight end, and I got him last. So that's just how it is sometimes with the position. After this, with so many of us in here, I will go over the teams, but I'll probably have to go out of here. Yeah. So let's go to completed. It's my second Husky completed. And let's go to the draft. So I went over my team. Let's go. I'm your Huckleberry, went 3-6-6-3. Dak, JJ, Aaron Rodgers. So 3 quarterbacks. 3 different buys also even helps even more. Saquon, Hampton, Monty, Sampson, Brashard Smith. I like that running back room. kind of a double anchor. Monty in the middle. Sampson, his upside looks better and better. And then Smith, obviously, has been getting good positive camp reports, and Justice Hill as well. That's right. He had 6 running backs. So really strong running back room. Like that a lot. Tyreek, Pickens, DK, Addison. I love the start of this receiver room, including down to Tillman. I think Tillman's one of the best value picks. And then he stops at Kayshon Boutte. That's not a guy I typically draft a lot, but I know there's been some positive buzz there as well. Even still, when your first 5 receivers are this and have different buys, you'll always have 4 of them. And your running back room is strong enough where it's probably hitting the flex most of the time, particularly if like Sampson and Smith get the roles that people are hoping they're getting. And then 3 tight ends, Kelsey, Tyler Warren, Jonnu. Jonnu, I also love his value. He took him even higher above ADP, but I get it. I think he's falling way too far. I think sure. I don't think Jonnu has a great chance of being a top 5 tight end, but easily could still be top 10, top 15 tight end. All right. The next team in here. Hit him with the gritty. Let me take a drink. Sorry. We got Hurts. We got Herbert, Anthony Richardson. And Gritty said this is like exactly what he does. 3 quarterbacks. We know it. We know a rushing quarterbacks and then a guy like Herbert who actually has sneaky rushing upside himself, but is an incredible passer as well. Henry, JT, Alvin Kamara, very strong running back start. Adding in Dobbins, Braylon Allen, like that a lot. And then receivers, JMO, Diggs, Golden, Kupp, Bateman, and we'll get to the rest shortly. But despite and he had a very similar build to mine, but despite all the elite quarterback, 3 running backs early, he's got 5 starting receivers. Like unquestionably, these are 5 starting receivers, and on Detroit top tier offense. Baltimore top tier offense. Green Bay absolutely has potential to be top tier. New England, it should be much better, much improved this year. And Kupp, if Kupp stays healthy, I think easily can outplay his ADP. Add on QJ, for the stack and some spike week potential. Demario Douglas looking good in camp. Another New England stack. And then Adonai Mitchell, another spike week guy. Second round pick could really come on. He waited on tight end. I know a lot of times he takes earlier tight ends. So if you're in here, is that just how you felt the room was going, or just something you were trying out? Just curious. I don't mind it because I think both these tight ends are vastly undervalued. Frymuth was top 10 tight end last year. Even with Jonnu there, it's all going to come down to touchdowns. I think him and Jonnu are going to have similar target numbers. Jonnu probably has more yards because probably more yards after the catch. But Frymuth could end up getting like 6 to 8 touchdowns. So I like that pick. And Juwan Johnson should be the clear tight end one for New Orleans. And yeah, I think just a fantastic pick. I like that build quite a bit. So we got our guy Boston here, no nonsense or nonsense media, and he went Lawrence to Daniel Jones, and I know he was just reaching for whatever quarterback he could get. Is what he was saying earlier. Running back room, really strong start. Kyron, Cook, Caleb, Ramondre, adds on Tank, Jalen Wright to get some stacks. Roshan, a lot of running back capital. 7 wide receivers, Malik, Thomas, Olave, Downs, Pittman. So getting the, he's going with the Daniel Jones side, but has 2 stack partners if it goes down that way. Dante Thornton, Arian Smith. So, at that point, just taking some spike week upsides at receiver. Thornton especially could pay off. And then only 1 tight end, Hawkinson. I don't love that approach, but I don't think it kills you either. I've had teams where essentially only had 1 tight end. Last year, one of my highest drafted tight ends was Luke Musgrave, and he was a dud all year. He played in like 2 games. And I had a couple of 2 tight end teams with him that advanced. And I can't remember, the other one was a pretty good tight end. But, like if Hawkinson is a top 5, top 6 tight end, I think it can still work. I don't generally, prefer that or recommend that. I would tack on somebody late just to, even if they're getting you 5 points in the bye week, that could be the difference between you making the playoffs or not. But I get it. Sometimes that's the way it turns out. Overall, the team, you have a lot of good running backs and receivers. You should score very well there. I know it's not as stacked as well as you want, but particularly if Daniel Jones pans out, getting more of the starts, then that team could be very live. So we had Griffin here, Rick from chat, Jaden Stroud, Dart, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, Aaron Jones, Cam Scattaboo, Rashard White, Woody Marks, trying to take some of the Texans' uncertainty. I get it. I considered him at the end there. I'm not a big fan of Woody Marks overall, but he's got clear opportunity now going forward. A lot of rookies, but why not? This was like the best rookie class of all time. Not really, but very close. And, I think the first 3 are clearly having good roles, plus Aaron Jones, plus Rashard White. So you should be fine at running back. ASB, Colin, Nico, Godwin, Shaheed, Christian Kirk, Wandale, and Pierce. Wandale's a fine floor play. Pierce is a spike week guy. Kirk can definitely help out early, particularly if Godwin's slow to start. And you and Nico already with the Stroud. So yeah, you have Stroud stacked up nicely. Particularly if Godwin's healthy, the receiver room is very strong, and I hope Godwin's healthy because I have quite a bit of him. And then two tight ends, Kittle and Ferg. That looks like a strong room. And it's one of those things like, yeah, you didn't stack up Jaden, but who really cares? And if you get to week 17, you actually have a bring back in Ferg. So yeah, there's some extra value there. But no, good teams. It's going to be a tough room. Hopefully, of the 5 of us, 3 of us advance. But yeah, it's going to be hard. Let me catch up with chat and then probably do another draft. I don't know if I'll do another Husky. Maybe I'll do something else. Let me know what you guys think. But let me catch up with chat real quick. Exactly, Rick. Are you getting sniped, or are you the sniper? Is it considered a snipe when they take the best players? Yeah. No, but it's just one of those things. It's how, like, I don't begrudge people for taking my guys. It happens. I was in a Chow Chow draft the other day that was streamed, and my top 3 quarterbacks that I'd set up with all got sniped, like 1 or 2 picks ahead of me. But it's how it goes sometimes. I think Gretsch has Freiermuth projected better than Jonnu for whatever that's worth. Yeah, and I've talked about it 2 years ago with the Falcons. Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator there. Similar situation as Steelers, 1 alpha receiver there, Drake London, Steelers DK Metcalf, and then the next 2 non-running back targets were Pitts and Jonnu. Bijan was finished 3rd on the team in targets, but it wasn't other receivers. It was the 2 tight ends who were essentially the second and third options down the field, and then Bijan had a ton of dump offs, and they both finished top 20 in both points per game and total points. It was like 14th and 17th in total points, and like 15th and 18th in points per game, something like that. And that was with the Falcons led by Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. Whatever you think of Aaron Rodgers, he is light years ahead of better than that. They only threw 17 touchdowns that year. Aaron Rodgers threw 28 last year. I just think there's so much opportunity, and I do think Freiermuth could just be the touchdown hunter here. Like, it would not surprise me if he has 10 touchdowns. If Aaron Rodgers is throwing 25 to 30 touchdowns, Freiermuth could easily be in line for, upwards 10 of those. We saw that with Robert Tonyan a few years ago, where Aaron Rodgers just decided to throw him 13 touchdowns and made him tight end 3 on the year. So, that's the kind of upside that Freiermuth has. I think he's going to be better in and around the goal line and red zone. Jonnu, I think it's more total yards, like I said earlier. We'll probably have more total targets. We'll probably have more total catches, but the targets and catches will probably be fairly close. It's just Jonnu has more yak ability. Let's see. Can't believe it's all good. It's all good. Don't worry, Steve. I'll take a hoodie for the memes. Appreciate it. 40 likes. Keep it up, chat. And don't forget the Best Ball subscription at only, and I say only, $34.99. No tip, but the info will be Appreciate that. And Mike is a real subscriber, so it is a real testimony. Oh, no. I know. Hey, we've all been there, had drafts that we just did not like. Here, Huckleberry laughing. I typically go Laporta, but he didn't make it back, and I prefer Diggs before Laporta. No, I get it. I was just curious, because most teams I see you post have like Laporta or Hawkinson, sometimes both. It's all good. Yeah, I could do a Batch Bros draft. Love you got CMC and Genty on that last team. Yeah, we'll appreciate that, Meg. So yeah, what does everyone want to draft again? Let's see. Let me take a look at, because the Huskies not like if it was filling fast and I didn't think it'd be here tomorrow, I'd do another one just because I want to get more done. But I think we're going to have a couple of days of this, which makes sense. There's, again, 11,000 entries. So this is at 17%. The Chihuahua 2 is at 23.7%. So what does everyone want me to do? I could do Chihuahua. If you really want another Husky, I'll do it. I could do Badge Bros. Probably not a BBM. Maybe I'd definitely do a marathon or sprint, but I know those are tough to fill. Yeah, so Chihuahua 2, Husky, Badge Bros. If there's something else, let me know. Nonsense saying Badger Chihuahua. Yeah, I agree with FK. I think these are going to fill the fastest. I think I might go Chihuahua. I haven't done any of those fast yet. If people are interested in that. And I do want to do more Badge Bros. I'm already at like 2021. I'll probably get to about 50 of those. So I think I'll do a Chihuahua. It's a quarter filled already. I don't want to do all of them slow too. Rick's point from earlier, just logging all these slow drafts, which let me just show you guys. I have quite a bit. These are all slows. That's just what I'm up on. And then these are all my other ones. Some of those luckily are finished and just waiting to finalize. I haven't counted, but I would imagine it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 plus. So, yeah. All right, let's get in. All right, let me catch up with chat and then purposely called it on the hot sauce for those wondering. I'm down for one, haven't done any yet. All right, I'll do a Chihuahua. We got Philip in here. Good seeing you. I'm your Huckleberry. All right, I will do the same thing where I will announce at the minute mark. So 9, let me get it ready. 9:47 Eastern, I am entering. And we will go now. Ooh, that snap filled. That I don't know if people got in this one. Sorry about that. And the only one, we got I'm Your Huckleberry and No Nonsense in here. So sorry for anyone who gets into overflow. If I didn't already have so many slows going, I would maybe multi and do 2 at once, but that's so tough when you have a bunch of slows already on the clock. But I'm in 7th spot. No Nonsense or Nonsense is in 9. Huckleberry's in 10. Oh, and then we got Blue Blood UNC. That's Philip, right? Yeah. Good. I didn't see you in here right away. Nice. Yeah, he is Blue Blood UNC. Steve out here rug pulling like his is a divorce lawyer taking a schmuck to the woodshed. Hey, no rug pulling. I think it was the room was almost filled. But no, I'm glad 3 of you could get in here. So yeah, Phil's in the 1 spot. Nonsense is 9. Huckleberry 10. I'm in the 7th spot. So we will take Saquon falling to 7. Thank you. I will take that every time. So what would curious of the news since camp has started, not some of the other stuff like the Rice, which we still don't know suspension or Judkins. What would you say is the biggest camp news issue so far? I have a couple that stand out to me a bit more, but I am curious what chat feels is like the biggest camp news right now. And let me look at chat. Huckleberry saying, I draft these low dollar different. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Yeah, and this is where guys who I feel a little less clear about, I'm more willing to take a shot on Tyreek or somebody who I just think is riskier. Now, again, at anyone's ADP, I can make it make sense, but no, I definitely am happier to be a little bit more risky in these smaller dollar ones. Not to say that I'm throwing away the lineup, but I just I don't take a lot of elite tight end, and here I'm gonna do it. I struggle with it in some of the higher dollar stuff just because it's a lot of draft capital for a position where if you get the Kelsey year from a couple years ago, or Andrews had a big year, Waller had one, but these are now like 4 or 5 years ago, it can pay off. But if it's even slightly better than last year, then basically every other receiver and running back in this range is going to outscore him by 2 or more points. And that just doesn't feel great. All right. Late quads. Wow. Yeah, Phil saying he's in the 101. Kelly, the kiss on the head. Yeah, that is, I will have to say that's the most shocking news. I did not see Christian Wilkins, one of the best defense tackles when he's on the field, getting cut. And the reasoning out there is just wild. How bad Chicago appears to be. Yeah, I did see today was better for Chicago. So hopefully that's a good thing for them. But it's definitely taken some time. AJ Dillon gained first team reps over Shipley. I know you're big on AJ Dillon. But this is definitely one of the ones, Philip asking, what do you think of the Stafford injury news? This is honestly, to me, potentially the biggest, because not only is it affecting Stafford, but it's affecting 2 receivers who go in the top 30 picks. Puka, Devontae Adams. It's affecting a running back who goes early. That offense is not going to be near as good. It's going to be, you can say, oh, they're going to run more without Stafford, but I just can't imagine Kyron, his value. So hopefully it's not a real thing. It's not an issue. But if it were to be, and I moved down Puka and Adams slightly, moved down Stafford a little bit more, but that's one that could have just such a big lasting impact. All right. Unique build for me, but I will take the following value of Jacobs. This early in the draft to get, 6, 7 picks of ADP value feels good. Definitely a very unique team, I'm sure, for me. So yeah, I would have to say the Stafford situation is the one that bears watching the most. Some of these other ones, the Mixon situation, I think, is right up there. And also because I don't love the backup situation. If this was almost any other running back, while I'd be disappointed at my exposure to the starter, at least I would say, okay, I can start pivoting to player X. But I don't feel great about Nick Chubb, and I'm not super high on Woody Marks. So it makes it a little harder for me because I don't know where to pivot to. I don't know what to do to kind of, get some insurance, I guess you'd call it. Like for instance, with the Judkins thing, I wasn't really taking Sampson wasn't really taking Ford. Now I'm taking both. Maybe that turns out to be a mistake as well. Maybe all of them end up being bad, but it's at least I have some direction of knowing where to pivot to. With the Houston situation, I'm not thrilled about it. I will say that. Let's go T-Mac. I think he's worth this ADP. He's one of those guys where I don't think he's going to massively outperform it. I also don't think he's going to underperform it. I think he's kind of fine where he goes. Let's see. We got Paul in here. Huckleberry took the words right out of my mouth. My gut is telling me that the Bears are going to be a dumpster fire this year, and most are looking at them still with rose-colored glasses. Yeah, I mean, I will say I do think there can be something. It can take time for particularly young quarterbacks, new offenses. And I know we can obviously compare this with the Patriots. They got a new offense coordinator. May sounds to be doing very well, but we saw this last year with Bryce Young. We saw it even not from the same extreme. He just learned so much quicker on the fly. But you look at the preseason and you look at the first couple games, like week 2 for Jaden Daniels and Commanders, week 2, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders against the Giants, you would have thought that this offense is going to be bad. Like against a bad Giants defense, they settled for 7 field goals. Yeah, and sure, they drove on them some, but just nothing was clicking. It just didn't feel good. Week 1 against the Bucs, Jaden was a good play, but he, like fantasy-wise, he didn't look good. But then things just started clicking for him with the Bengals, against the Cardinals, and he just really started taking off. Now, that's the extreme of learning on the fly and, just getting better and better. And not everyone can do that, but it does take some time. So I'll be interested to see how playoff game or preseason games go. I think, if you are playing like a format like the Eliminator, I'd be more wary about the Bears since it's not sounding off to a good start. I definitely think that's some signal there for something like that. So interesting. Jalen Hurts almost never comes back. And I already had the team correlation with Saquon, so I'm going to go for it. But no, it definitely keep watching that situation for sure with the Bears. First race click, if I can survive the storm, should be solid. Yeah. I mean, I think I just am waiting because I think it does matter significantly. Is it 3 games? Is it 4? Is it 6? But let's see, you got him at 40. That can be fine. I think, and you're doing it where you have other elite receivers. Like, it's just, I think it's tough to go like elite running back early with that because you need the receivers to cover him those first couple weeks and potentially like 6 weeks. So hate the person. Yeah. Fine wine equals the Bears. I'm interested to see how Bryce Young starts out this year. Yeah, I'm hoping it's better considering how he ended the year. Yeah, the Hurts fall, you just don't see that anymore. I've still gotten him maybe a couple times in the 5th round here, at like the 1, 2, or even 3 spot. But to go all the way back here, super rare. I mean, even if I didn't have Saquon, I would have taken him. That's just, to me, such a value. So 1, 2, 1, 1. I don't love this receiver range. I'll probably just throw volume at it and take a 3rd running back. Same buy as Jacobs, but I do think there's kind of a tier break after Caleb Johnson right now. Likely we'll still need to go 5 running backs. But I might only go 2 quarterbacks with Jalen Hurts and definitely 2 tight ends with Brock. Tim, I'm in a bad day drafting, brother. I'm sure it's better than you think. It's going to be so good if it doesn't piss off Aaron. Yeah. I mean, famously, Devontae Adams got benched essentially by Aaron Rodgers. But I actually think Caleb will fit with Aaron Rodgers pretty well. I know people talk about like Jalen Warren, his pass blocking and all that. And I think Kenneth Gainwell is kind of the same thing as well. So I think there would be a rotation. But I think on early downs, rushing downs. I would be shocked if Caleb Johnson isn't getting like 250 carries. I think he has to really show that he cannot function in an NFL offense for that not to happen. And of course, injury. I think he's a perfect type of back for Arthur Smith. And I don't see any reason why they don't use him as a bell cow. I mean, coaches said that right after they drafted him. So gain some, receivers I'm good with here. I'd even take Godwin at this point. Downs one, that would have been the next receiver. So I would have loved Ricky Pearsall falling to me, but I will take Jacoby Myers. We have a team bet on the Raiders. So, Gino might well be in the mix for a second, or if I do end up with 3 quarterbacks. Myers, last year, I think he played 15 games, and I want to say in 9 of them, he had 10 or more fantasy points. And 10 points is about the threshold of a usable week. That's a good high rate. And that was also with just god-awful quarterback play. Devontae Adams there for the first 6 weeks. And then, of course, Brock Bowers being the guy. So I think better offensive system, better quarterback play, no alpha wide receiver there for even one game. Myers, I think, is in line for a good year. I'm lower on him right now at only like 5.5%. I need to start getting more of him. Are you still hoping for more contests? Are you good with what's left with nearly almost a month to go? No, I'm definitely hoping for more contests. I mean, look, these Husky and Chihuahua 2 will fill pretty quickly. It might take a couple of days, but they're going to fill. So yeah, we need to start catching up at receiver. And unfortunately, it's just thinner right now with some of these injuries. But I would take Higgins. So I'd like more, in terms of what type of contest, maybe a couple more. And when I say higher dollar, it doesn't even have to be, like the Bulldog 3 or the Dalmatian 2. Maybe it's the Husky 2, because it does sound like there's some popularity there. Or maybe it's like the Pitbull 2, being a $20 one, but very good advance rates. More pugs. We've only gotten 1 pug. Last year there were 3 pugs. Could be more super flex contests as well. So I would like to draft more overall, both super flex and regular. I'm going to get to a decent number of marathons and sprints, do a few more eliminators and weekly winners, but not a ton. And then, a little over halfway kind of to my BBM mark. I'm guessing we're going to see a couple more puppies. So yeah, with 40 days to go, I think you'd be surprised with how many things last year were launched in August. I know the third puppy was launched in August. They had 3 puppies, and then fast and slow puppy. Those were launched late July, and then the third puppy was early to mid-ish August. A couple hound dogs, German Shepherd, a bunch more of those mini schnauzers were in August. So I'm expecting there will be a lot more to come still. Rottweiler, yeah, four max, $25. I actually didn't do any of that. I think that was one. I think you only got paid out to semifinals, which I don't mind. I definitely prefer getting paid on semifinals versus the finals. But I didn't end up doing any of the Rottweilers last year. I don't think. Maybe I did one. I'd have to go back and double check on that. Yeah. I'm going to pull up Rashid Shaheed. I need receivers, and I could use a veteran. I like Trey Harris, but with Pittman's situation, just don't feel great about it. advanced 3 or 4 and got to the finals. Nice. Congrats. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that tournament was. I don't think I did it last year, but and Paul says Flock has said his sponsored tourneys are dropping the first week of August. Yeah, and he had multiple of those last year. I don't think I did any of them. One, they would fill super quick, but and they're slightly different style. So partly I just didn't want to like try a different style out. But I'd be interested in checking them out this year, depending on what their price is and advance rate and stuff like that. I definitely am I let the advance rate and like what the payout structure is to be very determining on what I end up doing for a lot of things. But no, I did see that those are expected out as well. So we will. I think I will go. Yeah, I just need more receiver help, I feel like. And Bateman will get that for me. We get to this tier break of receiver, and without me having a clear alpha receiver, I mean, maybe T-Mac is that, but really I have a lot of number 2s right now. I don't think that's terrible. I'm expecting to win the tight end position, expecting to do pretty damn well in the quarterback position, and also the running back and even the flex position. But just, I don't want to get totally boxed out of receiver. What would a Fanspeak sponsored format look like? That's a good question. Meg and I would need to talk about it. I will say it would be high prioritization on advance rates and a very flat payout structure, and probably not even as good up top prizes some people like for some of these other tournaments. I look at them and I'd be like, for instance, and this was a small tournament, like the little Dalmatian, like I feel like they could have taken 5,000 from the top prize and spread it out, so more people, you wouldn't get everyone to get their 101 back for that, but you could get, like, I think $20 or $25 was the min cash for finals, but you could improve that a little bit more, or maybe min cash just $50. So just things like that. I'd probably focus on those areas. But yeah, I would love a 3 to 12 advance from the start, and like a 2-10, maybe a 1-6 or 1-5 even. And even if it leads to a bigger finals, I think that would be okay. I don't mind it as long as the finals aren't crazy and it's like 2,000 people. But even if it's like a 300 plus person final, and wow, Drake May comes back to me, that's who I would have taken over Bateman. Yeah, we will do that. I definitely feel I'm stopping at 2 quarterbacks with Hurts and May. Love my running backs, but I don't know if I'll go 9 receivers. Definitely going at least 8 receivers. Might go 6 running backs. We'll see how it turns out. But this draft is definitely, feel like I'm getting some interesting value here. May falling to 127 feels real nice. We're not in good shape, Steve-O. Sorry about that. I'm loading up Umbrella now. I do think that's a good pick. I know he got a little banged up today, but I think they want to utilize him. Steve, I just finished draft for Superflex, and my final pick was your favorite rookie, Alec Imanor. Yeah, he's not my favorite rookie, but in 20 rounds, you do have to get a little deeper. And so I understand, and especially if you say you had Cam Ward, then like it a little bit more. Getting punished at wide receiver, quarterback falling big time in this. Yeah, quarterback's falling crazy. The May snipes, sorry about that. Yeah, I guess you had Diggs. No, I mean, I'm sure you just wanted May. Oh, you'd Stevenson. Yeah, quarterback's falling way more, which makes sense in some way. I mean, in the bigger dollar tournaments, get your quarterbacks, feel like you have that locked up. The last thing you want is to be missing out there. All right. So I think I'd just take Goddard and be done at tight end. Now I can just focus probably on running back and receiver. I mean, if there's like a crazy quarterback value fall, I might do that. But yeah, I feel really good right now about this build. I still can't see May over Herbert. Herbert picked up some really great rushing upside last year, flew mostly under the radar. It did. No, Herbert has more rushing upside than people give him credit for. I think the thing is May just, May is definitely in the mix to be top 5 in the league in rushing points per game. He had 400 plus rushing yards last year and 2 rushing touchdowns, and essentially in just 11 starts. And even one of those starts he left early due to injury, but he started week 18, so he gets credited with the start. But he played one drive and then he was done. Joe Milton played the rest of the game. It's the exact same thing that Josh Allen does every year when they don't need to, risk him, like win the game. And so, 400, and he did come in one game, like last 2 drives for Brissett, like week 4 against the Jets or whatever it was. But generally speaking, he had 400 rushing yards in 11 games. You extrapolate that over 17, you're talking, 650, 700 easily. I could just see his touchdowns being way higher than 2. It could jump from 2 to, is anyone going to be shocked if he has like 8 rushing touchdowns? No, he's big, strong quarterback with good mobility, and he's got good vision. Like almost all his runs last year were scrambles. And yeah, let's see, we're up. All right. I am going to sort by running back. I will take my guy Eckler here. Yeah, I need. So just running back and receiver is what we're looking at right now. I'll maybe check in at quarterback late. Gamblestein saying you did have Cam Ward. Yeah, so I totally get it then. Was going to go Kyle Williams as well. Gotcha. May will pass more. What I will say with that, I'm your Huckleberry, is Herbert down the stretch, they threw the ball a lot more. I think from week 9 on, so essentially the second half of the year, he averaged like 32.5 attempts per game, which would have put him, it's been a while since I looked at it, I think 9th in the league in pass attempts, if that was over 17 games. I don't know if he'll be able to manage that over 17-game stretch, but I could see them being top 12 in pass attempts this year, top 15 at worst. So, that's probably around the same range as May in the Patriots. I don't think it will be a necessarily massive jump one way or the other. I think they'll both be middle of the pack. But I think May could lead in more attempts, but I would say Herbert's probably more accurate. Led the league in unplanned. Yeah. No, he was a scrambling machine. No, not Eckler. Sorry if that's who you're looking for. Yeah, the ADP does surprise me on Braylon. I've been taking him more, and it's easy to make the case for him. I do know he got banged up today, but I don't think it was anything major. So up in 2 picks. We're going to just take my guy, Adam Thielen. I need receiver help. I think he's easily the guy from this list who can outscore his current ADP. Last 2 years, he's finished like 25th and 31 in points per game. Last year, he finished as like wide receiver 50th overall, and that's with missing 7.5 games. And he just went as like wide receiver 68. Or that's where his ranking's at. So, yeah, I think if I made this pick last year, I'm getting, 18 spots of receiver value. And that's with him missing all that time. If he's healthy, he would have crushed it. Clear rule and was smashed if Brees gets hurt or traded. Yeah, I doubt Brees gets hurt, but or traded. But yeah, no, I think he could have the David Montgomery role, and it wasn't just David Montgomery; it was Jamal Williams also led the league in touchdowns, and I don't think the Jets are going to score that many touchdowns, but Braylon Allen could have 8 to 10 touchdowns fairly easily. What's the functional difference between Braylon and Charbonnet? No, and in some ways you can make the case that Braylon is more of a standalone role. So I agree to an extent for sure. I don't disagree. Kid is on his way. Yeah. Yeah, Chargers lost a few pieces. Their defense was good last year. And now down the stretch, they played some better quality teams, and that's why there were some more shootouts, that led to it. But they did lose a couple of pieces. So, yeah, their defense could take a step back this year. So I'm up in 5. And probably going at this point with 6 receivers, double Carolina, but is Bryce Young still sitting there? If so, I would have considered him for sure. With falling, I don't know if I want to handcuff Will Shipley. Debating. I don't typically handcuff. Could make some sense because I'm making just a Philly team stack or Philly team bet. I'm going to go Miles Sanders, though. I still think he could end up being the RB1 for whatever that's worth in Dallas this year. So, yeah, it's tough to feel great about any of the Dallas running backs. Sanders is still the cheapest of the 3. We'll see. I'm not super high in Jaden Blue. I just feel at best he's a pass down back. I don't think he's going to have this massive total role. And even there, I just feel he could be a little limited. But I also don't love Javonte. Don't really love Sanders. But Sanders has gotten enough buzz and goes, 50, 60 spots later than Javonte and, 15, 20 spots later than Blue. And, so I'm 2-5-6-2. Again, probably stopping at 2 quarterbacks. Definitely stopping at 2 tight ends. Nothing is totally jumping out. I could always throw in a late Tyler Shuck if I just wanted some quarterback depth and nothing else made sense. We will go. I think here we're just going to go Michael Wilson. No, since we're taking multiple receivers, we'll take the Keenan Allen upside swing. Hopefully I get a good landing spot and get some real big ADP value there. I mean, I know I took him ahead of ADP, but if he gets anywhere decent landing spot, he's going to go in like the 150s, 140s even. It's also an honorary Eagles, so good for your stack. Oh, Miles Sanders, yeah. So last two picks here, probably looking running back and receiver. And I don't do a lot of 2 quarterback builds. I'd say 75, 80% of my teams are 3 quarterbacks, but this is where I'm not going to mind doing it. Not only getting 2 quarterbacks, really good ones I like, but getting both at value. Getting Hurts 11 picks past ADP, getting May, 14 or 13 picks past ADP. That feels good. Let's see here. You can go running back here first. If one of these guys get back to me. There was some good buzz on Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt. I won't take him in this one. But I do. I've mixed him in some, particularly in Superflex with the 20 rounds. But I will probably take him a little bit more. Just because I do think Brian Robinson's role is a bit more fragile. These 3 rookies I'm kind of very even with. I'll take Bashard Smith this time. I mean, you could make the case for any of them. So we will make one final pick. Go best receiver available. 8 picks away. We'll see what gets back to us, and then we'll look at what everyone else in this room did. I get the Keenan play. I have 0%. I get Leonard Fournette vibes. Yeah. No, that's fair. And I typically only like doing it when I feel great about my other receivers. And so if he ends up being a bust, and really when I'm doing like 8 receiver builds. We're going to go Ray. I think he's got the best. Actually, let's go Tutu. I feel like I need a little bit more ceiling. Yeah. I mean, receiver room still a little weak. I mean, I got 6 starters, and potentially 7 if Keenan starts. Tutu, I know there's a report he's battling Whittington for the number 3 role. I just think Whittington's such a clone of what Puka does. I think it would be tough for him to be on the field at the same time a lot. So I think Tutu offers something more unique to that team, but I think you really need Stafford healthy for it to pay off. So after Philip makes his pick, we will check everyone's team out. Let me catch up in chat. I got a Hertz May Dynasty Superflex start stack this year. Well, that's nice. Keenan Allen can get hot certain weeks when he's in the zone, his precision route running. Yeah. No, I mean, Keenan Allen over the last 2 years is one of the highest spike week rates, which is crazy. I'm going to see a team throw volume at wide receiver. Check me out. Yikes. All right, I will check it out. Let me go in completed. And Chihuahua 2. Wait, I guess I need refresh. So thank you everyone for joining me in these drafts, liking the episode, subscribing if you hadn't subscribed. We really appreciate all the support here. We're going to keep growing, keep doing more content, and not just stop. When the season stops, we'll do betting content, BR content, battle royale content. That is, probably some DFS stuff. Whatever people are looking for, we want to cover. So we'll view the draft. We already talked through my team. We don't need to go through that. We'll go from the top. Philip in the first spot. 3, 6, 7, 2. Kyler, Tua, Aaron Rodgers. Got a nice little fall on Rodgers because he had been moving up pretty consistently. Connor, Swift, Jalen Warren. So team stacked there. Connor, 3 of his running backs end up stacked, and then 3 none. But yeah, good strong room. It makes sense. You kind of waited. Connor and Swift are kind of the only clear starters, but Warren, Dobbins are these good number 2 backs. Sampson could be starting quite a bit this year if as things are looking with Judkins. Then Ollie Gordon, I think, is a fair pick late. I definitely take him some. Receiver, of course, really hit it here with Chase, Tyreek, Marv, and of course Chase is a bring back week 17, doubling up on Waddle. So big stack there. Mbuka is a bring back. Pat Bryant, Calvin Austin. Yeah, I mean, this is well built team. Only 2 tight ends, but Njoku and Gesicki. I think Njoku, when he plays, even with his bad quarterback play these last couple of years, and actually 2 years ago, him and Flacco were really taking off down the stretch. So if Flacco plays a good amount, it could be really good for Njoku. And Gesicki, he's one of my favorite tight ends. He absolutely is top 10 upside. So no, I think it's well built, strong team. Not really weak in any area. Like running back, you're thinner, but you threw volume at it and good volume at it. It wasn't just like you were just throwing darts. Like, I think those are guys who make sense and, can clearly play. Boston George, 2, 8, 6, 2, Allen Herbert, Mixon, Aaron Jones, Tracy, Stevenson, Jaden Blue, Jaden Wright, Taj Brooks, Keaton Mitchell. So went with a 0 RB build. And hey, this could be the time to do it, because if Mixon ends up mostly healthy, even if he misses the first 2 weeks of the season, you could just be gaining massive value. Aaron Jones, another starting back. Tracy, Stevenson, Blue, Wright, Brooks. I mean, these could all be number 2 backs, and some have decent usage. Mitchell also has some contingent value and maybe some usage. So, you threw volume at it. That's the way you catch up if you are going 0 RB. And I think it is slightly more interesting now with a mix and fall like you got. Neighbors, London, Rasheed Rice, Kevin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, and Alec Pierce. So, the one downside here is if Rice does end up with a 6-game suspension, you don't have as many receivers to cover for him. Obviously, you have good ones, with taking 5 guys in the top 64, so 4 others. But you're going to need those guys to cover week in, week out early on. And going 0 RB, you're less likely to have your running backs hitting the flex. So maybe early on, you'll just have to have it if Rice is an extended absence. And And then, 2 tight ends, Kincaid and Arroyo. It's a riskier tight end room. That, I love the upside of Arroyo. Kincaid, if he's healthy and part of a stack, I think makes sense. So what I'd say is it's not like this team is dead or out. It's just you need things to go the right way. You need Mixon to not be hurt. You need some of these other running backs to have a bigger role than, is maybe guaranteed to them. And then, like, if the Rice suspension is only like 3 games, your team is in such better shape. But it's like Huckleberry said, like with these smaller things, take some more wild shots. Like I think that makes sense. Do it in these drafts. And speaking of your Huckleberry goes 2-4-9-3. I see what he says with 9 receivers. Jaden and Fields, and I like this. Getting Fields at 111, particularly in the smaller draft. Like if it does end up that Fields needs to, re-aggravates this injury, misses some time, it's not going to hurt you, particularly when you're Jaden. But it's not going to hurt you in the smaller draft near as much. Then you have a chain, Genty, Hall, Roshan. That's a tougher, hyper fragile build. The first 3 running backs are great, but Roshan, you kind of need him to have a decent enough role for it to really pan out. But as long as these 3 backs stay healthy, you'll be fine. Because particularly, and this is why you make sure their bye weeks are separate. If they are any overlapping, that could then be some big trouble where you're like potentially taking a central 0, maybe a 0 of Roshan, doesn't pan out. But then hitting, just throwing volume at receiver, like you said, Zay, Debo, Cup, Harris, Hollywood. He got banged up today. Hopefully it's not too serious because I have a decent exposure to him as well. Tillman, Demario Douglas, DeAndre Hopkins, Noah Brown. So again, another stack piece there. Zay, Debo, Cup, Harris it's what we expect. Cedric Tillman should be a starting wide receiver. Hollywood should be in 3 wide receiver sets. Demario should be in 3 wide receiver sets. Hopkins, same. Noah Brown, probably the same. So, they all can contribute. But yeah, I think you're going to be ping-ponging those guys repeatedly. I doubt you have a guy here that will give you 8 games. Probably this guy, one guy 4, one guy 5, one guy 3, et cetera, down the line. And then 3 tight ends, Laporta, Pitts, Mason Taylor, and Taylor being a stack. I'm not super high on Pitts in general, but like I said earlier in the stream, I'm going to start taking him some more. And so I do like, even though you had Laporta, I like having a 3rd tight end just in case Pitts ends up being a total dud again. I think that helps ensure that a little bit. Overall, you got a nice team bet on kind of Washington Jets. I think it can work. It's just you're going to need definitely some of those health concerns with not just Hollywood who's dealing with an injury, but Debo has a checkered injury history. Cup has a checkered injury history. A few of these others. So as long as that turns out okay, this team can be fine. But yeah, I think it's interesting and good overall. And then we had, I think that was it. So I think it was just us in here. So yeah, let me catch up with chat and then we'll get out of here. But I appreciate everyone jumping in here, talking ball, drafting with me. It was a lot of fun. Let's see. Paulino, Lane or Noah Brown as late Jaden stacks? What do you think? I think it's Noah Brown. I think Lane, not only do I believe he's behind Noah Brown, but I think Lane will probably be behind Luke McCaffrey. I think Lane could be behind KJ Osborne. They have Michael Gallup there. I think Lane is a long-term option, and he will make his role will be on special teams. Yeah, tight end or running back. I got you. Thank you for being nice. My team stinks. And no, I get your projections not as high and it maybe doesn't like look perfectly, but this is best ball, and it's, you know, it's not easy, and it can just, you need to, I always try to draft with intention, like knowing how my build's gonna be, and that's why you'll hear me say with like 4 or 5 rounds to go, like, oh, it's gonna be this kind of build, or maybe I have the optionality to take this pick with falling value. Try to get in that situation as much as possible. And you know, it's not always the team with the prettiest stacks and the prettiest bringbacks and all that kind of stuff. Like we see this every year. Different builds, different structures win every year. We see guys talking about getting, you know, sniped. We see guys talked about like not getting the bring back they wanted and whatever, and it still pays off for them. So I always look at, even when my draft start doesn't go in as well as possible. I mentioned that Chow Chow the other day. My top three quarterback options all got sniped. I ended up backstacking a couple guys. It turned out okay. It was the best team ever, but no. But do I think it has a chance to advance? Yeah. We'll see how far it goes. But, you know, I recommend just always trying to pivot and build the best way you can and find a path where you can see where this team can succeed. And, you know, going over your team, I could see that. Is it probably you're going to be your favorite team? No, I doubt you label this team my number one team or anything like that. But it could still have a path. I was thinking about Sanders or Johnson at tight end, but with only 2 probable stars at running back. Yeah, I think that was probably the right call. Yeah, and that's the other thing with Pitts. The Mooney situation does potentially open him up a bit more. Appreciate it, Huckleberry. Appreciate you being in here. Appreciate Paulino. I think, again, the habit of being too concerned with correlation and bringbacks. And that for me, like, bringbacks are great if it works out, if it fits. I don't typically reach for bringbacks. I don't typically like just do an extra bringback at a position that I already feel good about. You know, like I think, and there will be times where I end up doing it. There'll be times where I force an extra correlated pick or an extra bringback, but I generally try not to, because I think build structure is the number one thing. I really do. I think having a good build, and again, doesn't always mean 3-5-7-3, though that succeeds at a pretty high rate. But if you're only going 2 tight ends, make sure it makes sense to go 2 tight ends. If you're only going, you know, 6 receivers, make sure it makes sense to go 6 receivers, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and again, that's where sometimes mixing up the buys helps give you the optionality. So yeah, I correlation and bringbacks, those things have value, but they're not the be all end all. So anyways, thank you everyone for joining me with these 3 drafts. Appreciate drafting with you. Hope everyone has a great night. Enjoy drafting these new contests. I'm sure Underdog's releasing more later this week. Should be every week from now till the season. Should be fun with more and more contests. Hope everyone is doing, you know, having a great night with it all. And I will catch you next time. Have a good one.